So I'm going to be reviewing Room 119 by T.F. Lynch today. I don't even know where to begin. My emotions are everywhere. I've been through a hell of a journey, and it was an amazing book. Absolute 5-star read. I'm going to tell you the story of how I came about this book. When I first met Trev and he first started telling me about this book, I was like, all right, it sounds pretty cool. Sounds interesting. Brooke also was very interested in reading it, so she's went ahead and read it and kept saying to me, like, this is really good, this is amazing, you have to read it. All the way through, I was like, I don't want to read it. And as much as I liked the story, I had an initial fear. It sounds really stupid saying it, but I had a big fear about this book because Trev had openly admitted that he hadn't read a lot of books in his life. At present, he has only read 18 books, and I was just sat there initially thinking, how can you write a book if you don't read books? Like, for starters, why would you write a book if you don't read? But secondly, surely you need to read books to understand how to write a book, like how to get different writing styles that work and how to develop characters as well as tell a good story. So it wasn't that I didn't want to read it. I was just scared because I spoke to Trevor a lot. He was a really nice guy, and I didn't like the idea of reading a book that one of my friends had written, and I didn't like it. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put off reading it as much as I can, and then I just had to suck it up and deal with it eventually. Brooke read it; she absolutely loved it, and me and Brooke are kind of on similar wavelengths when it comes to reading. We always feel the same things. Brooke's a little bit harsher with her rating because she focuses a lot on details and things like that, which is absolutely great. Whereas me, I just like enjoying the story, and that's our main difference. But when it comes to plot, we do tend to have a lot of similar views. So when Brooke told me how much she loved it, I was on board. I was ready. I was like, right, I'm going to do it. So this month, I did. I've never been so happy to be proven wrong. I can tell you that right now. Apparently, you don't need to read a lot to get a really good story. Now, I loved hearing Trev tell me about where this origin came from. He said it came from a series of random dreams. Over time, as he told people these random dreams, he just kept getting told to make it into a story. He jotted a few bullet points down, left it where it was. Eventually, it just became what it is today. And I am still speechless. I'm still reeling. I probably should have spent time sitting and thinking about my emotions before I filmed this. But never mind. I didn't. The fact that I knew the origin of this book because I'd spoken to Trev about it made it so great to read. Like, initially when we started, I didn't like the main character, Dean. And I knew that was going to be the case. A lot of people had said, you start out hating him. Don't worry, he goes through a lot of growth. You end up loving him. So I was really excited to see where this went because I knew nothing about the plot because it was just one of them where you're told, go into it with no information. Don't find out any information and go into it with an open mind. And I just had to do that. So all I knew about this book before I actually started reading it was that our main character Dean has a wife and daughter, he works in stocks, and one day he makes a big mistake and his life falls apart. And when his life falls apart, he finds himself on the brink, and somebody tells him to check into room 119 of the hotel. And the story really begins there. And I can't tell you anything more. I refuse to because it's one of them you don't want to know. Just go into it. And I cannot explain how happy I am that I read this book. It really sticks with me because, as I've said, I had concerns with the fact that Trev has openly admitted he doesn't read a lot. I initially had concerns that the writing style was going to be quite different, because I feel as though a lot of writers take writing styles from other writers and things that they like. And I thought, well, Trev doesn't have that much experience with other writing styles, so I'm not sure how this is going to go. And it turns out the writing style he used wasn't from other writers, as far as I'm aware. That might be the case, but it seemed to just be him sitting down writing the book in the way he wanted to tell it. And it made the writing style so unique and so different and so fun and easy, because he got the story across without going to a lot of exposition and a lot of detail that was really unnecessary. He just got the story out there, but it didn't feel as though you'd missed out on anything. It got the necessary information, but it just kind of snuck it in and just carried on with the story. And it was very progressive as a plot. And I love a plot. I don't care about any description. I can go into a book. You don't need to tell me a single thing about this character. Give me an age range. That's all I ask for. I don't need to know what they look like. I'll make it up in my head. And even though we got some good character description, I just love that I could go into this story and make up these characters. I pictured them. I knew what their voices sounded like. I knew how old they were. I just could picture it immediately, and I was right in it. And then, as I've also said, I had concerns that a lot of character development might not have been there, because if you don't read books a lot, you might not know some of the better ways to develop a character without being info dumpy. And I was very concerned that we was going to get a lot of info dump. I were wrong again. We did not get a lot of info dump. We got some of the most amazing characters. Like, I feel a lot of emotions about these characters right now. I know I'm trying to mention some of these characters, but I can't mention some of the characters because my camera started twonking then. I can't mention some of the characters without telling you more of the plot, and I don't want to do that. So it's very difficult to explain what I want to say. But basically, the character of Dean goes through such a growth and such a progression throughout the story. And he goes from someone that you think, oh, I cannot read a book with a main character I hate, to, I actually really love this guy. I really like him. And you end up rooting for him through this journey. And I think a lot of people said they didn't really like the character of Dean's daughter, which I understand, because she seemed a lot younger than she was. I think she was 15, but she acted a lot younger. But that didn't bother me that much. Same with his wife. I felt sometimes she was a little bit awkward, a little bit too mean. But for the most part, I understood the story. And then, when Dean gets to room 119 and you meet these other characters, I fell in love with every single one of them. I was absolutely terrified of some of them, don't get me wrong, but I was absolutely in love with them. They all had such unique backstories. They had really good development, because I'm thinking of one character in particular who I absolutely love. Won't tell you anything about him, but his name is Benji. So when you read the book, or if you have read the book, you know who I'm talking about. Benji, when we first meet him, we feel a certain way about him. I felt very uncomfortable with him. I didn't like him. I was scared of who he was going to be or what he was going to be like, because I didn't know the character. And basically, I fell in love with him just because he progressed and he grew and we learnt more about him. And I thought, how has this book managed to do this? And I don't want it to sound as though I didn't have faith in Trev writing a good book, because I really, really did. I just had reservations about the fact that, and it's probably a biased opinion, but I had a biased opinion that to be a good writer, you needed to read. It's like, to be a good teacher, you needed to be good in school, or, something like that. How can you be so good in something you've never experienced yourself? And I had that feeling, and I feel as though a lot of people will have that feeling. And all I can say to that is just trust it, because I absolutely love this book. It was a complete 5-star. I felt as though The story progressed so much. It took me through every emotion. I cried many, many times. I screamed in anger many, many times. I actually sent a message to Trev this morning when I read that part, and I wrote him a message saying, "How dare you do this? How dare you put me through this?" And he just sat there chuckling to himself, really. But I cried, I screamed, I laughed. It was so heartwarming, heartbreaking, fulfilling, emotional. It just takes you on such a journey. And it makes it so hard to review this because you can't give too much of the plot away. It's one of them that if you go into it knowing what the plot is, it might not have the same effect. And you need to go into it with as little information as possible. So the only information I can give, as I already have, is it's about a stockbroker whose life takes a downhill turn, and he goes to room 119 to sort out his life. And he meets some amazing people on the way. And I can't tell you anything more because I urge you to just go into it blind as you can. Like, it's amazing. It's just so well written. And I'm annoyed that I liked it in a way because Brooke was right, and I hate when Brooke's right. Because although we're on the same wavelength, there is nothing worse than her saying, "I told you, didn't I?" But just give it a go. Honestly, just give it a go. Also, Trev is self-published, so make sure you're supporting self-pub authors. I love supporting self-published authors, and getting to know Trev has been great. I actually can't wait to read more from him. And I'm just so honoured to have read this book. And I can't begin to imagine like what I was feeling before I read it, because I feel as though my entire perception of what it means to be an author has changed. You don't need to have all this experience. You don't need to have all of this creative teachings of how to do it. You don't need to have read a million books to write a masterpiece. You just need to be able to tell a really good story, and Trev did that. And I can't express how happy I am reading this. I'm still lost for words. It still bothers me that I had these feelings. It bothers me that I finished the book. And now I'm sat here like, I want to go back. I miss them. I miss everything. Trev, do a sequel. I want to see these characters again. I can't say anything else. I really can't. I would urge you to read this book. Go into it with as little knowledge as possible, with an open mind as possible, and make sure if you're not, you're supporting Trev and any other self-pub author that you know of. I will link Trev's Twitter account, and he has actually just started a booktube channel, so I will link that channel down below as well. Just make sure you check it out. That is all I ask. He's got another book out now, which is Funicular, and I really can't wait to read that one. Don't know anything about that one, as per usual. I like going into books blind. We all know this. And he is planning a third book, which I am desperate to know more about, so I'm just probably going to go and grill him for that information. And that is all I can say. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this has encouraged you to go ahead and read this book, because I would love nothing more than for everyone to go and read this book. It was so good. And I'm not someone that gushes about stuff unless I really feel like a gush. And I love feeling like a gush. So, yeah, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you're always notified. Give me a thumbs up. Go follow Trev. Do it. And I post every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, and then intermittently throughout the week. So until next time, I will see you guys later.